We're back for another hobby progress vlog, and I'm not trying to make this kind of a theme, but I'm doing orcs again. Now, this time we're talking about 40k orcs. More specifically, I'm working on a kill team for my orcs. So it's not particularly, I'm not building an entire 40k army of orcs. I'm building a very small kind of section of orcs for kill team. And I'm excited because in the last Hobby Progress vlog, that was my first time ever doing any kind of orcs, and those were fantasy orcs for Shadespire. And now this is my first time doing science fiction style orcs. And I wanted to figure out something kind of interesting to do, because with Kill Team, since you don't have to crank through hundreds of figures, you can kind of spend a little bit more time on just a few. So I sat down and started working on list building and tried to figure out what I was going to do for that. And I thought to myself, okay, well, that's, the standard in at least in Kill Team is that it seems to me that you would make your Nob, the Ork Nob, make that guy the leader because he's big and powerful, and it just makes sense story-wise that he's, he's the powerful one, and so therefore they all kind of follow him, and hence then he becomes the leader. But I started looking at it, and I was like, the thing is that the leader role, when you're playing Kill Team, especially in a standard, normal, 100-point, non-campaign style game, all the leader really does is gives you an extra command point every turn. So really, literally, all the leader has to do is stay alive. If you send the leader out to do, combat mission stuff, aka not just sit at the back and hide, but to move forward and actually try to take objectives and maybe kill whatever. If the leader croaks, now you don't get as many command points. Now, admittedly, I don't ever seem to spend enough command points in my games, and I gotta get better about that. But my thought was that like, if I make the big Ork Nob, I make that guy be the leader, then he's gotta be protected a little bit more so I can keep getting command points. And then I started looking through the rules and realized that Gretchens can also be leaders. So I decided my leader was going to be a Gretchen and was just going to get hidden in a corner somewhere and not probably move the entire game and just generate command points. And that kind of freed up that whole Ork Nob situation, that I could use him in something else and hopefully do something cool with him. A little while after I was kind of considering these ideas and kind of list building and stuff like that, before I'd even purchased any orcs, I think I did own about a box of Gretchens, but that was about it. Sometime after that, the Ambot came out for Necromunda, and I've talked about it on the live show a little bit. The Ambot it's a box, and there's two of them in there actually, and they're for Necromunda, and they're these kind of crazy sort of robot-y kind of things, really cool, super cool models. And even though I don't play Necromunda, I saw those models and I was like, yeah, I'm going to need to get a box of those. And I did. So I just basically wanted them so I could build them and paint them and maybe use them in some other game, or just have the enjoyment of having a cool looking robot dude or whatever the deal was. And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, that could, because they're not as big as I originally thought. I thought they were a good, but they're not too big. They could be, one of them could be my Ork Nob. So I started thinking of how I would do this, and because I'm more of a narrative player as opposed to a competitive one, I started thinking about, like, again, my kill team and what's going on here. So the Ork Nob is going to work best for me as the combat specialist in this situation. And as I said before, the leader is going to be a Gretchen. Well, why would this happen? Why would an Ork Nob follow a Gretchen? And then I started looking at the model here of the Ambot, and I realized that on the back he's got like an on-off switch, sort of like it's like a cord, and then there's the buttons, and you see them in industrial stuff. It's a big yellow box, and you press a button and it makes the thing go up or down or whatever, or an on-off switch. And he's kind of got one of those hanging off of his backside, and I thought, well, that's kind of a cool thing. Maybe the Gretchen's the only one that knows it's back there and can turn him on and off at will, and so therefore this Nob will follow the Gretchen, and that's why the Gretchen's the leader. So I thought, okay, well, what do I need to do to make this guy into a Nob? And literally all I had to do was just stick an orc head into the spot where the Ambot's head would normally go. Admittedly, because I want him to have, and by him I mean the Ork Nob, I want him to have a power claw, both of the hands on the Ambot really look like power claws and can easily be like, yeah, that's obviously a power claw. But I also want him to have a combi weapon with Scorcher. And so I was like, all right, well, what do I need to do for that? So I pretty much just clipped off a good portion of the left-handed claw, and then just glued some orc gun stuff to it, and like a normal Space Marine style, the nozzle from a flamethrower, a flamer, put that on the underside, did some other little stuff, and found some other little parts to kind of glue on there, make it look a little orky. Threw a boss pole on there, even though I know that the boss pole is probably got a very specific significance. Again, not being really an orc player, I don't know. But yeah, it worked out pretty well. And I know some of the heads in that normal Orc Boys kit are probably designed to be for knobs and not Orc Nobs and not just any head in there. But the ones that I thought were probably for Orc Nobs, they all had like a weird top knot thing, which I'm sure is like some sort of, measure of rank or whatever. But A, they just did not fit with this guy. And B, the head that I did pick has like a helmet and like extra eye pieces, and it looks technologically advanced. And my idea is that this orc is super into tech, and maybe even got this Gretchen to help him out and steal this body, and then basically just remove his head and attach it to this robot body, and the Gretchen knew about the on-off switch in the back, and so that's why he's in the situation that he's in. But I really like the model. There's 2 separate poses in that box, and I thought this one was going to work best for what I wanted, and I put it all together. I used a bunch of putty in the back kind of to get that head to stay where I wanted it within the hole, because the head for the Ambot is very... it's short but goes down long, has long mandibles, and because he kind of doesn't, I had to sort of do some positioning, but it worked out great. I think I need some more skulls or some more orky bits on here. I think I'm going to do something along those lines. He's a cool model, but he's very clean, sort of, and smooth. And I'm trying to decide, frankly, whether I want to try to make it look as if he's got a lot of beat up and kind of, orkiness to the model with paint, where I try to paint on battle damage that's actually makes it look three-dimensional but is not actually three-dimensional, or whether I actually want to just make three-dimensional battle damage. I may throw some rust on there using, the old liquid green stuff tutorial that I did years and years and years and years ago. Pachow. I'm not 100% sure yet, so that's kind of where I'm at. He's built. I still need to texture his base. I think I still need to just do a little bit more embellishment, and then I'm going to move into priming and painting. I'm not sure yet how I want to paint him. I know I don't want him to be like safety yellow or anything along those lines. I'm not sure if I want him to be just straight up metallic, or if I want him to... like, again, if this is a stolen robot body that then the orcs have taken and, the Gretchen's put his head in there and all that kind of stuff, I'm trying to think of, do I want to have it have some other artwork already on there, or other, paint style that they've now scraped off or co-opted in some fashion? I'm not quite sure. So I need to think a little bit more about that with this guy and then go from there. I obviously need to work on the rest of the kill team as well, but I've got my list written, at least for my first 100-point, battles, and I know what I'm going to do from there. I've got 2 other models in that army that are going to be kind of related and have a little bit of storyline other than just, this guy and the Gretchen leader. The rest of them I think are going to be relatively standard, but the other specialists are going to have a little bit of backstory and some stuff. But this guy, I'm really looking forward. It's a great model. I'm happy with the way it came out, and now I'm looking forward to how I'm going to paint it and decide how I'm going to do that. So next video you see will probably be me at least halfway done with the paint job and trying to make some more decisions, and then going from there, and then you'll see the third video, which will be the finished product.